Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today I am going to do something a little out of the norm. I'm going to be using these two colors from OG Dip Powder, and I'm going to be using the gel method, and I'm going to be chroming today. I told y'all chroming video was coming up, and here it is. So these are the two colors swatched out. That glitter is just super gorgeous. That's 2 dips, but I end up doing 3 in my video just because I like the little bit more full coverage that I get with 3. I'm also going to be using the OG Dip Powder base and top coat. And I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and put my peel base on already. I left it out of this video, but I do have it on underneath before I'm starting my mani, and it's completely dry. I used a regular peel base for, actually I lied, I did the gel peel base, so it's already cured for 60 seconds. So I am going to start with the glitter. I'm going to apply a layer of base coat, and then for the first layer, really depending on the type of glitter, I pour over because I don't like it to get too chunky. But when I'm going back and looking, I think that I should have just did 2 dips versus a pour over just because of how sheer the glitter is. But with other glitters in the gel method, you want to just pour over so that you're not, number one, smushing your glitter. Also, I'm going to use the OG Cuticle cleanup tool because it's just, this one is my favorite. It has the liner brush on the other end. All right, back to what I was saying. You don't want to smush your gel around because it will stay uncured until you go to cured. So it will stay malleable, it'll stay mushable, movable, however you want to take that until you cure it. So you don't want to do a whole lot of moving and squishing and stuff because then it could end up into a weird curing time and all that. So pouring over is good, but if you lay in gently like I do with the other layer that you'll see, you will understand what I'm saying. Also, this is a black or a darker dip powder, but it is still semi-sheer, so it's not a shimmer or a solid to where it's going to take a longer curing time. So what I do with this is I still use my normal curing time. I still cure for a full 60 seconds for this glitter. For the shimmer that we're going to do on the other 3 nails, I do cure for 90 seconds just because it's a darker color and I want the light to fully penetrate the dip powder and to make sure that it is fully cured. You do not want to leave uncured gels on your nail. It's not good for a bunch of reasons. And then the most important reason for me is that it makes the mani look squishy or wrinkle, and it just ruins it. All right, so here is the dipping into. See that pickup? I could have gotten that on the first layer if I had done that, and I would have just had to do 2 versus 3. The third one I do off camera because it's just redundant. But look at how the coverage is. And you have all the time in the world to work with gels, so just take your time. I sped it up because I'm using my non-dominant hand to do this. So I move like ridiculously slow when I'm using my non-dominant hand. So I just sped it up a little bit so you guys could kind of get the gist of what I was doing. And you can kind of watch and see. I'm patting so gently. Like I've said in some other videos, you want to try to not touch your dip powder. You want to try to use a finger cut or a glove on your other hand. And I'm working to try to do that. But sometimes, especially when I'm using my non-dominant hand, I mess up my gel just because I have to do some touching and moving, and my gloves don't fit like a glove, per se, for a pun in there. They're a little bit larger. So I have a harder time with doing that, so please use something in place of your hand to prevent allergies, or be very, very careful and wipe it off immediately like I do on alcohol, or I even use acetone sometimes. Just make sure you're getting it all off your skin immediately. All right, so now I go ahead and I do my second dip, and what I do also is I hand place some glitters where I want them to be before I cure it. So I just dab a little bit of base coat as you guys were seeing, and I just kind of hand place somewhere I think it could use a little bit of extra pizzazz. Some spots that may look a little bit bare, some that just need a little extra something. And I like to do that before I do the cure, just so that I don't have so many layers, my hand in the lamp so many times. But now I went ahead and I added that third layer. And now I'm going to apply 2 layers of base coat and a layer of top coat so that I can go ahead and get to filing after I do my other 3 nails. So by me doing that, I give myself some wiggle room to be able to file and not cut into the glitters because I am a crazy filer. I should do base coat and then builder gel and then top coat just because I feel like that gives me even more protection. But I went ahead and top coated, so now we're going to move on to the other fingers. I'm just showing you that they're fully cured so that I can move on to do the other ones. These are the 3 fingers that I'm going to chrome. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to use the base coat. I'm going to use Superstar with a Scalpel, which is a chromable dip powder. Now when you open your dip powder, you see it's like a super, super shimmery dip. And then you look in the top and it's got that sheen on the top like that. You know that the dip is chromable. So what that means is that you can use it as a chrome powder or a dip powder. Some dip powders are made to be chromable with the super shimmer, so you can wear them both ways. It makes them versatile dips, which I absolutely love. I love being able to use my dips for more than one purpose, or be able to use them more than one way. It just makes them a little bit more fun. So here I just do 1 pour over. Also, usually they're a little bit thicker, just because the shimmer sometimes can be like a little bit much. But when you're doing your pour over with shimmers and colors like this, you want to make sure that all the gel is covered. So you may see some like a wet spot through the powder, and you just want to make sure that you're pouring over enough powder to cover up all of the wet that could be showing. And then clean your cuticles really good. I end up putting my paper towel in frame so y'all can see that I'm not wiping the powder on the mat or anything. I'm wiping it on a paper towel, which was off camera in the last 2 nails. But I just do 1 pour over layer because this color is so opaque that I only need to do 1 layer because I'm going to chrome on top of it. So I wanted to make sure that I got a full complete coverage, which is why I kind of like mess around with the gel to make sure that I get it perfectly where I want it. I want it to be everywhere. Now I kind of risked only doing 1 layer because when you go to file, sometimes you can kind of file through 1 layer. So it's always good to try to at least do 2, but I was going to be chroming over it, so it didn't really matter. I was still going to have a technical second layer. So now I'm cleaning my cuticles to make sure that everything is cleaned out nicely, because once you cure, the gel and the powder are going to be cured where you leave them. So you want to make sure that you take your time on the cuticle line, clean up everything really nicely, get everything off your skin. And then I like to go in with a final dip in like that when I do gel, because I just want to make sure that I get a good full coating of powder on my nails. Sometimes I may miss a little bit when I'm pouring over and there may be a little bit of extra gel, but I just go ahead and do that little tap tap and then just make sure my cuticles are clean again. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my thumb. I was kind of feeling risque with this mani because I usually fix my nails before I go to my thumb, but they're not going to go anywhere since it's gel. They're just going to kind of stay where I put them. You just got to be very careful as to not bump them because you might gash them and then it could turn bad. But you want to make sure that when you're doing your gel nails, that you don't touch them with your other nails, bump into anything. Sometimes I go 1 nail at a time because it's just like how it works for me. I always end up gashing it or something and then I have to start over. But just take your time. That is the key with gels. You have all the time in the world. It's a different pace from dip liquids where you have to kind of rush the drying time, or not rush it, beat the drying time if you want to get the look that you're going for. But working with gels is something that I am thankful to be able to do. Also, I'm going to go, sorry about that. Cut for a second. I went and I applied the base coat and I'm going to apply the top coat. And now I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick little wipe off just to make sure I get all of the powder off. Now is the time to clean up all the excess powder and anything that was on the skin. I just go ahead and clean it all off so I can be ready to go ahead and file and shape and buff, which I'm going to do as usual off camera. So one day I'll put it in for y'all, I promise. Now you see a little bit of the tip on the index finger. I filed a little bit off, but we're going to go ahead and chrome those 3 nails so that we can get the look we're going for. So to chrome, you take top coat, non-wipe top coat. That's an important bit of info. No wipe top coat. You've got your chrome powder or your chromable dip powder, and I use this little fancy eyeshadow brush. You can use a silicone tool or your finger, but this is what I'm using. You apply a thin but super smooth, even, no lumps in it, no bumps in it, super flat top coat. Super flat top coat. As you will see, mine does not turn out that way because I used this one, and I have a specific one for chrome because it's a little bit tainted by chrome powder already. But I get one little lump in each nail, one little dust particle that slithered its way onto my nail, floated, I guess, onto my nail, but it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and do both nails, cover them with the non-wipe top coat, and then I'm going to put them in a lamp, and I flash cure this specific top coat in my lamp for 12 seconds, right? I put the top coat, make sure it's completely covering because the chrome will only stick where you put the top coat. It will not stick anywhere else. So, food for thought on that. Be very careful. Take your time. Now, I get all the gel off my skin, and I flash cure for 12 seconds. Now I come back and I immediately dip my finger into the powder very carefully, gently, gingerly, because you don't want to like scar it or anything. Some people pour over, but you dip it in. And then after that, I zoom in for y'all so you can watch the chrome happen. I just take my eyeshadow applicator and I very carefully, without hitting my other nail, just rub the powder in. And it doesn't look much like it's chromed now because that's how this one is working. But once I put the top coat on, the chrome effect is just absolutely stunning. Now y'all can see that little divot or that little bump on my middle finger, and I get one on my index finger, but my thumb turns out perfect. Of course, because that's not usually shown in pictures. But anyway, I digress. The chrome effect is still absolutely gorgeous. Now, when we get done with chroming, I do finish the cure for these two fingers because you do want to fully cure the gel. So I finish the cure and I cure it for 20 more seconds so I can get the full 30-second cure. And then I come back and I do my thumb the exact same way. But this is why you want to be careful with the powder. You want to make sure that the gel is super flat. But I went ahead and I cured, and then I brushed off the excess, but you still don't want to touch it on anything. You don't want to bump it because we haven't top coated it, so it can still be scratched and ruined. Now we are going to do the thumb. The thumb is a little bit of an awkward angle to dip in, so I apologize in advance. It's a weird angle, but I still put it on camera so you guys can see how I cup the Dipcup liner. How I squeeze it like a taco over around my nail so that I can make sure that the powder hits all points of the top coat. I also did flash cure before I did this for the 12 seconds. And now I rub the chrome into the thumbnail as well. But you want to be very careful as to not touch those other nails because if you do, you will scratch them. But you just want to rub it in into your heart's content. And at the end of doing that, I like to just use my finger sometimes to rub the rest of the powder in, the chrome powder, to just make sure that I get all the edges, I get the cuticle line, I get everything really nicely and that everything's kind of all rubbed in really good. And then I give the thumb a rest of its cure for 20 seconds and I just continue from there because the chroming is all finished, but the chroming needs to be topped. So the other nails were all filed and buffed and we were all ready to go. So now I'm going to throw a base coat on all of the nails because we need to cap our chrome and we need to do a base coat so that the top coat will stick. I do apply the top coat or the base coat. I fully cure this for 30 seconds and then I will apply a top coat directly on top and I fully cure the top coat for 60 seconds because I want to make certain I go double time for the top coat on darker nails because I want to make sure that everything underneath, everything on top is super cured. I just have a thing, I don't know, it's a weird thing. I just like to make sure that all of my gels are super cured. Nothing is on my skin. Everything is just like fully cured before I move on, just because I don't like to leave that up in the air. Also, when I say cap your edges, when I'm talking about top coating, do you see how the brush is kind of floating off the side of the nail with the base coat brush is kind of floating off the side? It's allowing the gel base coat to lock in what is on top of the nail. So when you're doing a chrome, like you see right there, how you see it just kind of like floats off the side, it rounds the edge just enough to be able to put a sealant on the edges so that your decal, your full cover water slide decals don't peel up, your chrome powder doesn't chip and peel, your gel polish won't peel up. It'll also help if you wear peel base like I do. It'll help your peel base last just a little bit longer if you cap your edges. And that's what people mean when they say cap your edges. To just drag the gel or dip top or something, whatever you use on top, to just drag it just a little bit on the side. Not overflowing to where you're getting it everywhere, but just enough so that you can create a seal on the edges, almost like a glue, so that it seals it on your nail until you are ready to break that seal and pop the dip or whatever, or take whatever it is off if you use peel base. All right, so now it is top coat time. I'm going to apply the top coat off camera because it is the same as the base. I just thought y'all wanted to see the beautiful glitter and chrome come to action, come to life, I guess you could say. I go ahead and I do that off camera. I take care of all of it, and I do gel base gel top on my thumb, and then I will come back and show you the final result, which is gorgeous. Look at that chrome. Like, the shift in that glitter too is just insane. This glitter is like perfect with so many colors, but I picked it to go with purple because that's just kind of what was in the set. It's from the Grey's Anatomy release. So I love how this turned out in the end. I don't mind the couple of bumps in it. It's okay with me. Here's an outside view of it for you guys. But I really hope y'all found this informative. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will catch y'all on the next one.